Hello there, it's Helen from the Therapy Hub, and today I wanted to talk to you about moving forward, changing that sort of feeling of thinking I can't do something and turning it into can. Because I've been thinking about it a lot recently, and in a few of my videos, I've been talking about taking action. And I know I'm guilty of this myself. Sometimes I think I'm going to do something, but then I kind of start to doubt myself. I start to feel overwhelmed. I start to think that I can't do something, okay, that maybe I'm not capable of doing it, or maybe there's too much to do, or maybe I just haven't got the skills to do it. So I wanted to talk about that today. So I have written a blog post about this as well, which you can find on my website, and I have put a post on Facebook about it as well. So if you want to read this, there is a blog post about it as well. So let's get started. Thinking about something that you want to do. So it might be worth, if you like, getting a notepad or something right now, or a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, and thinking about this yourself. It may be something that you really want to do, or it may be a goal or an ambition, or it may be something that you actually want to get rid of. So it may be anxiety that you're looking to get rid of, but you don't quite know how to get started. You don't know what to do to help yourself. So the first thing that I would say is, when you tend to look at a goal or an ambition, or something that you do want help with, something you might want to get rid of, like anxiety, it almost feels like it's too big, it's too unmanageable. And actually, if you're in that stuck place, if you're feeling anxious anyway, it can make it super difficult for you to feel that you can make those steps forward. So the first thing that I think of doing is, first of all, think about what you actually want to work on. So write that down on your piece of paper or in your notebook now. Really think about what you would like to work on. Okay, so make a note of that. And now what I'd like you to do is write a list. So you probably, if you want to pause this, you can pause this and then listen to the rest of it after you've done this, or come back to this video later on. You can find it on my Facebook page, and I'll pop it on YouTube as well. I've got a channel on YouTube, so you can also catch up on all my videos on there. So what I'd like you to think about is all the things that you'd need to do, you think you'd need to do, in order to reach that goal, that ambition, or to get rid of that thing, that anxiety, that problem that you've got. So it might be easier to actually work backwards. Sometimes I find it easier to work backwards. So start from the end point, start from that goal, that ambition, or that thing that you want to get rid of, and then work backwards from that, and see how many things you can write down that you think you'd actually need to do in order to reach that goal. Okay, so break it down into things that need to be done. Like, you know, do you need to understand your problem? If you've got anxiety, do you need to find out more about anxiety? Yeah. Do you need to research it and understand the problem a bit more, so that you can kind of get to grips with it a bit more and understand, unravel it, and understand what you need to do next? Maybe you need to find out what triggers you. Are there specific things that are triggering your anxiety? Okay. So that might be another step along your path to reaching your goal of getting rid of your anxiety. Do you need to take up some sort of hobby or exercise to help you release some of that anxiety? Okay. Do you need to start thinking about your diet and thinking about altering what you're eating and drinking? Could that be triggering your anxiety? Okay, so that's where the research earlier on might help you to think about some of these things later. So really think about all the things you might need to do. You know, do you need to ask friends and family for some support You know, do you need to tell them that you're going to try and work on this and that your end goal is to actually get rid of that anxiety? So do you need people around you to know about it? Do you need to tell them? Okay. Do you want to start listening to some relaxation audios? Okay. Or something like that. Are you going to invest some money in helping yourself to feel better? What time are you going to have to give yourself? Are you going to give yourself time each day to work on this anxiety? How much time each week is it going to mount up to? You know, how much are you willing to give up to reach that final goal there? So that's what I'd like you to think about. So you might like to pause this and go away and do that now and then come back and finish watching this. Or like I say, you can come back to it later, either via the Facebook page or on YouTube. So after you've done that and you've really thought about it, don't worry about it if you get a bit stuck and you think, oh no, I'm not quite sure what I'd need to do next. You know, it is quite tricky, but just think of a few things you might need to do. Okay, I've given you a few ideas for anxiety. Obviously, if it's something else, then just try and break that down and think about it. What steps would you need to do? Okay, so once you've got that first list, the second thing to do is actually another list, because it's breaking down those steps that you think you need to take in order to reach that goal, breaking down those steps into manageable chunks so that it doesn't feel overwhelming. Because if you look at that whole list, you might think, oh my goodness, how am I going to get rid of all this? You know, how am I going to do this? And you might just be going, oh, what am I going to do? You know, and that might totally freak you out before you've even started. Okay, and I don't want that to happen. So what I'm saying is to actually break it down into small steps. Okay, don't get freaked out by it. Okay, no one's making you do anything. We're just thinking about it at the moment. So just think about those steps and break them down into manageable bite-sized chunks. Okay, so think about the first step along your list to reach that final goal. Okay, now what would that first step be? Okay, so maybe referring back to my example of anxiety, say if your first step was to find out more about anxiety, to research it. So you could think about, how are you actually going to go about doing that researching? So how are you going to break down that researching? What are you going to do to find out more about anxiety? So you could just work on that first step and break that down. You don't need to go through the whole list yet if you don't want to. If you do want to and you really want to go with it and go for it, great, well done you. If you're feeling a little bit nervous because your anxiety is getting in the way a bit, just think about that first step, okay? Think about what you're going to do in order to find out more about your anxiety, or whatever your first step was that you've written down. So, you know, if your first step was to research more about anxiety, then what are you going to do? So are you going to go to the library? So your first step might be go to the library, find out about anxiety, or find self-help books. Or it might be research on the internet, go to Google, research what anxiety is. Or it might be find anxiety specialists on the internet and see what they've got to say about anxiety. Okay, so think about how you're actually going to do that first step in your list of steps to reach that final goal over there. Okay, and just do it bit by bit. Okay, if you don't want to do the whole thing, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to. You're just taking it step by step. But what I would say is, don't just break down your first step and then go away and forget about the whole thing, because the whole idea is to keep this momentum going, to try and help yourself to move forward, because we're trying to change can't into can over here. Okay, so we need to try and keep that momentum going. So after you've started breaking down all those steps, okay, and you might do it bit by bit, okay, then think about all the things that you can do right now. Okay, so look at those broken down steps, those bite-sized chunks, those manageable chunks, and look at the things that you can do right now. Not the things you can't, the things you can, okay? So if you find it tricky to go out to somewhere like the library, okay, because you've got social anxiety, you feel a bit nervous around people, and maybe there's too many people around and you're feeling nervous and fidgety, and you're not quite feeling comfortable enough to go to the library yet, it might be more suitable for you to look at what you can do. And one of the things you might be able to do is to work at home and Google anxiety, okay? Find out about anxiety on the internet, okay? And read a little bit about it, okay? Even if you're only doing that for 5 minutes, in 5-minute chunks, okay? Because if you're getting fidgety and you can't keep still and you can't focus very well, it can be a bit tricky. So do what you can do right now. So look at that list of things that you've broken down, okay? So this is where it's probably more beneficial to do the whole list and break it down as much as you can, because then you can look across the board on your list and just kind of tick all the things that you can do right now and leave all the things that you can't do at the moment until later. Okay, so I'd start at the beginning of that list and think of the things you can do at the beginning and go along the list, okay? Because the things at the beginning tend to be the things that are maybe a little bit easier to do right now. So look at the beginning of your list and think of the things you can do right now, okay? And then start working through that, okay? So again, it's about keeping up that momentum, looking at those things and thinking, what can I do right now, okay? So when you have done those things, because they've broken down into those lovely bite-sized chunks, if you want to think of it as eating a lovely chocolate biscuit or whatever you like eating, and each time you tick one of those things off of your list, it's like having a nice bite out of your nice biscuit, and you're ticking off something else on your list, and it's amazing how much you can actually achieve by yourself. And when you look at that list and you see how many things you've ticked off, you'll be like really pleased with yourself that you actually achieve stuff, okay? Because you can do it. So you've done your long list, you've broken it down to bite-sized chunks, then you've looked at what you can do and you've been ticking off your things on your list to show all the things that you can do, okay? So what else can you do to help yourself with this? All right, so you can then use something to help you to kind of keep up this momentum, to keep up this idea that you've got, this goal that you want to reach, okay? So what you can do, you may have heard of them before, of dream boards or vision boards. You can create your own. It doesn't have to be a massive one. You could create your own little mini vision board or dream board, okay? All you've got to do, even if it's a piece of cardboard from an old cardboard box, or if you go into town, you know, to some of those really cheap bargain shops in town, I won't say the name of them, but you can go in there and honestly, you can buy a cheap cork board for about £2 or something, £2 or £3. They're really cheap, and you can use pins or you can blue tack or whatever you want to do onto that board, and then you can reuse it again later on should you want to. So the whole idea is to then think about, what things do you want to gain, okay? What things do you want from reaching this goal or ambition? So if you're working on getting rid of that anxiety, you may have an idea in your head of about how you're going to feel. Excuse me, how you're going to be looking. You know, has there been a previous time in your life where you felt really great? You know, is there a photograph you've got of yourself when you were younger where you were feeling really great, you were really happy, you didn't have this anxiety? Maybe you could find that photo and put that on that vision board to remind you of where you're going with this. Okay, so the whole idea is to keep that vision, that dream going, to drive it forward. What else could you put on that board? Well, you could put postcards. You know, are there places that you want to visit? You know, do you want to be going abroad somewhere and your anxiety is stopping you from going there? So, you know, maybe you're fearful of traveling on a plane. Maybe you're fearful of traveling in a car or by train, or whatever you're fearful of, maybe, or crowds, and that's stopping you from going places at the moment. So think about where you'd like to go. You know, have you got postcards of places that you really would love to go, but at the moment you're being stopped from going there because of this anxiety that's just like crushing you from doing these things and stopping you? So, you know, you could put 1 or 2 of those on your vision board just to remind you. You know, are there shapes and colours that inspire you, that make you feel better, that you could put on your vision board? Okay, so maybe it's love hearts, maybe it's flowers, maybe it's a bird on the tree about to take off, maybe it's a balloon floating up into the air, maybe it's a kite, you know, maybe it's water, maybe it's a beach, you know, maybe it's a woodland, it's a mountainside or a rainforest. You know, maybe it's something like that that inspires you. Maybe there's some words that inspire you. Okay, so think about all those things. Okay, it may even be pictures of family as well, or it may be pictures of a partner or of your children. They might go on there as well. Okay, so think about anything that really inspires you to think about reaching that goal. Okay, that's what your dream board, your vision board is about. And you can use magazines to do this as well. You could just get cheap magazines, or ask any friends if they've got any magazines they don't want anymore, and just leaf through the magazines. And if anything really strikes you, kind of go with that. You know, that's going with your gut feeling. So go with words or images that really mean something to you and sort of like jump out at from the page at you a little bit, and cut them out, and then put them on your vision board with your other things as well. And you can even put little items on there, you know, that might remind you of this feeling that you want to have, this goal that you want to reach. So I don't know, it might be a feather. Okay, it might be a shell from the beach that's got a hole in it. Maybe you can tie a piece of ribbon to it and pin it to your vision board. Maybe it's a heart from something. Okay, maybe it's a little trinket from somewhere. So think about all those things that you could put on your vision board. Okay, it's a really great thing to do. So give yourself some time to do it. Okay, a lot of this is about thinking that we do deserve this. Okay, you do deserve to feel better, right? So give yourself that time, some time to work on it. Invest in yourself, because you are important. If you're not able to function properly, then how are you going to help your family around you, your friends, your children, if you're not feeling right yourself? Okay, so you've got to get yourself feeling right, and you do deserve it. You do deserve the time, the investment to help yourself to feel better. Okay, so give yourself some time and space, even if it's in the evening when other people have gone to bed. Give yourself a bit of time to work on this vision board. Okay, and then put it somewhere where you're going to notice it every day. A good idea is to put it in your bedroom. Okay, and just have it there by the side of you, so that when you wake up in the morning, you look at it and it reminds you Okay, it inspires you to move forward. So put it somewhere where you're going to see it. It's kind of personal to you. All right. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was about kind of creating your own affirmation. So you may or may not know what an affirmation is. It's kind of saying something to really get your self-belief motivated and cemented. Really saying something to yourself to help yourself. And it's something that you can repeat to yourself to help you to move forward. So you might like to create something, an affirmation that you're going to repeat to yourself every day. Okay, you can stand and look in the mirror and put your hand on your heart and say that affirmation out loud. Okay, you could write it on a postcard, and if you're artistic at all, then you can do something lovely on your postcard and write your affirmation on it, and you can put it on your vision board. Okay, and then you can say that to yourself every day. So it might be something like, I believe that I deserve to reach this goal, and I am doing it right now. Okay, so it's more or less saying that you're already doing it. Okay, you're already on that pathway to reaching that goal. So think about what you could say to yourself, okay, to achieve this thing, to get there. So it might be, I really deserve to get rid of this anxiety, and I'm going to do it. Okay, something that is really confirming what you're going to do and that you are going to reach it. Okay, so have a go at doing that. Put that on your vision board, write it on a postcard, say it to yourself. Okay, all these things will help you to move forward and change can't to can. Now, at the end of all that, if you have done all those things, okay, and if you're feeling ready to get some support, to get some help, then you can come and see somebody, okay, a therapist, and they will help you. They will take your hand and support you through those steps, okay, to totally diminish and calm that anxiety down, or to reach that goal. Okay, so if your goal is working on self-esteem, if it's working on a specific phobia, they can help you with that. Okay, but if you're a bit wobbly through the process, don't think you're alone. Okay, you can come and ask for help. You know, therapists, we are here to help you. So we will take you and we will help you through those stages, okay, bit by bit, to get you to that place, okay? But the brilliant thing is, you've already got all these fantastic things that you can already start working on before you even get to that stage. If you want to, at any point, to contact a therapist and come and see somebody like me, then that's, you know, fine. You know, don't think, oh gosh, I haven't reached my goal, you know, on my own, and be hard on yourself. It's not about being hard on yourself. I'm just giving you ideas and ways of making those changes, okay, so that you can get as far forward in the process by yourself, okay? But if you need help, please, please don't struggle, because the worst thing is to just be feeling very lonely, feeling like you're in that dark place and you're just like really struggling, and you feel like you're sinking down and down and down, and you can't climb your way out. And it's almost like, oh, how can I go and see somebody to help me, because I'm too far down, and they might not understand, and they'll think I'm being silly, and all those things that start creeping into our brains. Okay, don't feel like any of that, because we're all here to help. Okay, so I hope all of this has been useful. If any of you out there create a dream board or a vision board, I'd love to see pictures of it. I really would. that would be fantastic to see. So do share your stuff with me. I'd love to see what you've done from this. I am going to be doing some more stuff on creative things. You may have noticed by my post before that I'm quite a creative person. So I am going to be putting some more stuff on actually about using creativity to help us with various difficulties. So that might be in the form of writing, painting, drawing, creating vision boards, all that sort of thing. So look out for those as well. But I'd love to see any of your vision or dream boards out there as well. If you're willing to share them, that would be fantastic. Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.